Greetings, this is Sandy Herrick. I am a licensed psychotherapist in the state of Virginia. I treat all mental health conditions listed in the DSM 5 TR. I'm also a life coach of skill building. Please check me out at www.ignitebestpractices.com. Again, www.ignitebestpractices.com. Today, I want to talk about instrumental versus contextual memory recall and experience formation challenges associated with autism spectrum disorder. It is generally known through studies that autistic people have shown impairments in their episodic memory, one episode after the next. However, preservation of their semantic memory is often amplified. Some of the brain regions that play a major role in this phenomenon are the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the regions of the medial temporal lobe. The hippocampus is believed to be larger in people with autism, while the amygdala is, in relation, smaller. So, the hippocampus function is to create memories, learn new things, and recognize emotion. In combination, the amygdala then is supposed to process the recognition of the emotions by way of linking these emotions to the memories of sensation and experiences as a learning process. Can you see the information processing issue and how this can precipitate anxiety, especially social anxieties, even depression, or the alleged disruptive behaviors, and maybe the appearance of not having emotions? I say it again, the appearance of not having emotions. Individuals with autism spectrum disorders have lots of emotions and a brain that does not help in contextualizing these emotions in terms of experiences that can be shared. They seek a step by step approach instead. Let me check the boxes format. Or maybe they engage in avoidance behavior altogether in order to manage their interactions while keeping their anxieties down. When unable to do these things, frustration sets in. It causes distress, and that leads to anxiety and often depression. The medial temporal lobe is associated and generally accepted as the brain region where the episodic memories are stored, formed, and coded. Tomatoes, tomatoes. That's all the same thing, right? Encoded, store, form. It's all the same thing. Tomatoes, tomatoes. There's no instrumental memory per se, okay? It is more of a behavior from memories. So, instrumental behavior, let's call it that. Instrumental behavior can be said is a combination of procedural memories and declarative memories. That is to say, step by step procedural memories plus data and facts, which is declarative. This leaves little to no room to account for context of situation. That is when the semantic memory is supposed to come in with episodic memories from episodes in the past, experiences from the past, okay? That is to say, meaning and past experiences come in to help with, if any, necessary adjustment of what we're about to do about these things, data and facts, right? Instrumental behavior, in other words, is a combination of procedural and declarative memory. Is action performed to reach a goal, such as to obtain a food item, achieve some other kind of reward, or get a punishment removed from me? In other words, the behavior causes the desired outcome, right? If I do this, I'm going to get that. This is the basis of therapies commonly known as ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, because children with neurodivergence, such as autism, are heavily oriented to procedure and declarative, okay, that is step by step plus data, okay, and facts. And that's how they process information the best. ABA therapy is readily successful with them. So, remembering the step by step instructions on how to make spaghetti and implemented that what one remembered to do is a form of instrumental behavior. Okay? It goes like this. First I get the pot, then I fill the water, then I put the temperature on medium. Then I cover the pot with a lid. Then I wait 8 minutes for it to boil. Then I put oil. Then I put the spaghetti noodles. Then I cover the pot again and I let it cook for another 10 minutes. Then I turn off the stove. Then I get a jar of spaghetti from the cover. Then I remove the lid. Then I pour it inside the pot. Then I stir it. Then I take a plate out of the cover. Then I put some spaghetti in my plate. Then I get a fork and I sit down and I eat it. I'm done. Most individuals do not think such a dry step by step form of making spaghetti. Most individuals make use of memories from prior episodes, episodic memories, to give us general ideas on how to cook spaghetti, which is the behavior, right? So, my episodic memory, I saw somebody do it, and I'm going to do it. That is to say that if we saw it done before, for example, by a parent as we were growing up, we have enough data and step by step to give it a go. Of course, this is unless we're attempting grandma's world famous delicious recipe, which is the left front of the video. So, circling back to our topic, in an ordinary, regular, just spaghetti for dinner situation, most people are willing to variate ingredients, making substitutions to make use of what is in the fridge or in the pantry, or implement a different way in the process. Most people can take chances with changes to this step by step and will not experience distress under these circumstances. For example, instead of covering it and waiting 8 minutes before checking it, we might just leave the lid up and eyeball the time to decide when to come back and check on the boiling water. We might put the oil before the water boils. Or maybe we put butter instead of oil. Or we might not use the spaghetti sauce at all and instead use Alfredo sauce. Or maybe just olive oil and garlic with herbs and add some shrimps. This is all possible because the memories from one episode over here and another episode over there and this other episode over there, and we develop a basic schema of what we wanted to do in the behavior for the outcome. So it's based, we had a basic blueprint of what was going to happen and we were able to adjust it without any distress. Okay, there is procedural memory involved in here, but most people will not distressed if a step is needed to be adjusted in this process. Most people, while they may not be happy about something coming out wrong with the spaghetti, the disappointment will not be to such a degree of intensity that an episode of disengaging from cooking along with undesirable behaviors or perhaps stemming will be precipitated because there's no oil or butter, or I forgot to add the oil when the water was boiling, or because a sibling put the oil before the water boiled. Individuals with overly reliance on instrumental memories, procedural memories, or environmental cues, such as those used in ABA, to engage and complete the behavior. This an example is signs, routines, step-by-step order of performing a task, being the same each time at the same time with the same things, do become distressed when there's a change in all of that. So the severity will include throwing tantrums, running away from the kitchen, refusing to continue cooking, may become rude with communication, and may stem, which is very distressful to their body. It is important to highlight a detail, however, and that is that this is not a condition that should precipitate violent behaviors towards others. As such behaviors accompanies any distress associated with irregularity of expectations. While performing an instrumental behavior, please consult a behavioral health professional. I'm going to give you a list of some, but it is not inclusive of all the professionals that could be consulted in these cases. For example, a licensed clinical mental health provider, a psychological evaluator, a neuropsychiatrist, a pediatrician, among many others. These are professionals that can provide different lenses to evaluate your child's behavior in the context of the violence, particularly those that cause alarming concern of safety for not just your child, but for other members in the family system. The takeaway is that most people experience declarative memory in combination with information from their semantic memory. And they put their own episodic memories into the mix to adapt to the context of the experience. This creates a whole new experience. So you're adding to that schema. This is why one person experiences themselves in one way by saying tomatoes, while the other experiences themselves by saying tomatoes, potatoes, potatoes. People refer to those different expressions, experiences in the vernacular as semantics, the meaning we're both talking about the same thing. We also recognize that our experience of the same thing is different because of our episodic memories are particular to each one of us about potatoes and tomatoes. These different experiences make the subject a tad bit different, but not so much to make significant differentiation to affect the implied intended concepts that we're doing here in the communication. For individuals with autism spectrum disorder, semantics are very rigid. This is known as cognition rigidness or thinking rigidness, the same thing, semantics, okay? Which then precipitates distress because the information processing gears are not syncing per their perception. This precipitates mood shifts that become also rigid. So the stemmings or the avoidance behavior is the way for them to reset. Socially, this have catastrophic consequences. Therapeutic work in family therapy, where in the family there's a child identified with autism spectrum disorder, is largely about equipping the parents to slow down, observe, analyze, implement changes through the parent child relationship to help the child improve their information processing challenges. Information processing deficits should be the target, not the behavior. Unfortunately, sometimes that's seen as target behaviors, but I like to offer a different perspective. I'll repeat information processing deficits because of this brain structures being different and impairments in creating episodes, memories of episodes, should be the target, not in the behaviors in themselves. Behavior improvements will be incidental to the experiences through the parent child relationship. Parents often are challenged for a variety of reasons. So, family therapy needs to include providing parents the needed support to be in a good space and become effective agents of change for their child. This in turn causes significant improvements in the family dynamic as a whole, and the alleged target behaviors incidentally become addressed. They improve all because the deficits in the information processing have been supported. I'm going to give a list of definitions. This is your glossary for the day. ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. It's a way to apply changes to an environment. You then observe and document data about the behavior changes that come from that change in the environment. Then you analyze it and subject the observation to repetition and see if the behavior is repeated when the same change in the environment is applied. So one change for the other change. So applying change in the environment can be anything: signs, a list, a way of talking to each other, rewards, addition of benefits, subtraction of things or circumstances that the person doesn't want, assistance with specific portions through scaffolding, anything and everything that can produce a change, a sustainment of a behavior that is being sought after. First, we have to analyze the undesirable behavior we want to extinguish and analyze what may be happening before, what's happening after. Is are we reinforcing the bad behaviors with our own behaviors? Then we hypothesize a change in the environment component, but it could be relational too. And that's why I want to challenge parents to kind of contemplate what kind of relational changes could happen here for me to support information processing challenges and devise how to apply it, right? So that is the behavior being noted, and then changing the environment and behavior is analyzed. So apply the hypothesized changes that could create a new behavior, notice the behavior after it's been applied, and then analyze that behavior. Okay. So episodic memory is a type of long term memory. It involves conscious recollection of previous experiences together with their context in terms of time, place, and associated emotions. This is what is at a deficit with people that have autism spectrum disorder. Now, procedural memory, I like to call it instrumental, right? It's a long term memory involved in the process of retrieving information necessary to perform something you learn to do. It leads to instrumental behaviors, okay? So if I know how to do step by step, I'm going to do my behavior step by step. And that's instrumental behavior. I'm doing this to do that. Instrumental memory is another way that I'm using for procedural memory to illustrate the point, but there's no such term, not that I have seen in the literature. Now, semantic memory. This is also a long term memory category involving recollections of ideas, concepts, and facts, commonly regarded as general knowledge. So, semantic is general knowledge, and this is how meaning is stored in our minds. Okay, so it's you are categorizing ideas and concept and facts together, not just facts. Okay, so it's ideas and ideas about ideas. Okay, that's semantic memory. So declarative memory is a long-term category involving the memory of facts, data, and events. Now, the situation about semantic memory is that once a person with autism gets stored an idea or an idea about an idea together with some facts, they become real rigid about it. Sometimes that's inconsequential, and sometimes that has dire consequences because there's no flexibility. Um, I hope that you have found this informational, and I'm going to go ahead and probably upload this as a transcript. Health and light, everybody. Bye bye.